All right, everybody. We here. We made it. This is gonna be our first ever podcast. I know everybody's been waiting for this. This is a long time coming. I know Hermela, us, the Connections team, we've been talking about it for a very long time. But we're here. I know you guys, everybody's excited. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it been?
It's been a long time coming. We've had so much work put into it, so
A
very
lot of work,
excited.
a lot of work, a
Very
lot of
excited
work.
for this.
Yep. This is going to be the first episode. In this episode, we're basically going to be talking about OTYD. I know a lot of people know about us, especially inside the States and outside of Texas. But today is going to be just talking about who we are generally, how do we form, what's our mission, our values, and who makes up the family of OTYD. That's basically what we're going to be talking about today. To give you an introduction, my name is Robel. My church name, Deacon Robel or Diakon Rovel.
Oh my
That's what I like.
gosh.
Diakon Rovel.
All
ስለዚህ
right.
y'all can call me that, but that's my name. I'm gonna let my partner here.
I'm not a deacon.
Oh, really?
But
Okay.
I'm Hermela or Hermela, American name. But I'm part of the Connections team at OTYD. So yeah.
I'm gonna introduce. I'm just gonna say something. We call her Miss President or El Presidente. You remember that name?
Yeah. When we
Yeah.
first started OTYD, but
Yeah. So she has a lot of titles. I'll tell you that. A lot of titles.
a lot
But
of different hats.
yeah, I think when we started off, let's just to kind of give you guys an introduction how we came together. I think, do you remember the first time that we all met? Because I know when a lot of us, because we started off at like eight, a couple of us, like eight of
There was
us.
like 7 of us.
Was
Or
it
I think
seven
we
or eight?
started at 6 and then we had one person join us a little later, like about 6 months later.
I just want y'all to know,
He was the only guy?
the only guy, the only man in that group. It was like 8 bunch of girls, and I was the only person there. And
Rogal started off like very like quiet, head down,
Yeah,
little
that's so
glasses
true.
on, and just this is so upsetting. Yeah, of course we got to do something about
Yeah.
it. And then it was just it was 7 very opinionated women too. So
I had to be
it was an
vocal about it
interesting,
to get my ideas across. I'll say that. But it was fun. I think through OTYD in myself, like personal experience, I grew a lot. You know what I mean? It kind of took me out of my shell, and I was able to kind of work in my service a lot. But going back to how we started, it was just a couple of 8 of us. We were together. We all serve in different churches. I know Hermela served at Kadis Mikhail, and I served at Kidana Mirat. There's the people from Selassie, all those churches. If you know Dallas, those are the churches that we have. And now we were just a bunch of us came together.
I remember we said, okay, we need to like form our head committee. So we're like, okay, we don't know what we're gonna do. So we're like, okay, we'll just call a meeting.
Yeah.
And I think about like 12 people showed up or
Yeah.
something. So we're like, okay, so who's gonna be treasurer? And no one would speak up.
Yeah, it was awkward. We were all awkward.
We literally didn't know each other either.
Yeah.
That's what made it much harder. So then you just get volunteered and you're like, oh, I think you should be treasurer, and just get volunteered for a position. And we just all ended up doing things that like literally had no idea.
We had no experience, y'all. No experience, yeah.
At all.
To this day, actually, we even talk about how long has OTYD been together. There's this person whose name I'm not gonna mention. She knows who she is. She insists that we've been together for how long? 4 years?
4 years.
I could have sworn it's been longer than that.
But technically, it's like 4 years and then like some months.
Okay.
So I think that's where the idea comes from. But I say 5 years.
Yeah, 5 is easy.
Yeah.
We've been together. We've been through
A lot. It feels like it's been years.
Yeah. We're going to give you guys a little snippet. We don't want to, bombard you guys with everything.
Yeah.
But trust me, we've been through a lot, starting, because I know like 5 years ago, before, OTYD formed, like the idea of English service within the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, like it was a taboo. Like it was never talked about like that. I don't know if you remember had that same experience.
So for me, I think I was like you said earlier on, we were all coming from different experiences. So I was just coming straight from college. I hadn't been in Dallas a really long time. Of course, I grew up in the church, but it was just like, it was just like with just friends. It was more on the social aspect. So when I came in, it was like getting into a whole different world. So I know Amharinya, and I was just like, yeah, I can understand a little bit. But like, I think it was Deacon David came one time. And he taught a sermon in English, and I said, whoa, like there's a whole like different side of it, And I think that's what caused us to like, push towards the English as well. But there was no English service as it is now. Like if you compare it to now, especially like no one teaching in English, no mezmurs in English, no divine liturgy in English.
Nothing.
I mean, it's not like the church didn't have like divine liturgy in English. It was just like it wasn't provided.
Yeah.
So when we started, it was a rough start. It was like, are you guys trying to change our youth into a different faith? Like, what are you guys doing?
It was we fought a lot of things because the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand, especially in the background of OTYD, is like we kept a lot of things to ourselves. We didn't like let it, because when in service, the thing is you don't want the adversaries and all the things that are coming up. You don't want it to affect your service. So it was just like 8 of us, and we had like a bunch of stuff going on. So we just kind of kept it between us, and through prayer and like the spiritual fathers, we were able to handle it by the grace of God, of course. But it was just a lot. We had like, the priests were against us in the beginning. The approval from the parents was difficult. As you guys know, in the Ethiopian community, like if the parents, if they don't approve anything, I'm like, God, like,
that's it.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Then nothing's gonna happen. So like that was a very difficult, like trying to get the approval of the parents. But there were some people too, like I would say that were very like they understood.
Were riding with us.
Exactly. Yeah, to this day, they understood the mission because I mean, when we always talk about, we try to compare the Ethiopian church to the Coptic church. Like, I know, especially, like, I have some experience working with the Coptic church that, over time, whenever they were here for like, they were here before us, we were founded in America. There was this, they started out with Arabic and Coptic, and then they realized the youth were growing up in the church with English, so they had to, tagado, they had to do it. And our church was just for a very long time, they did not. They saw it as like a whole, like, oh my God, they're trying to change, like you said, like the religion is going to, everything's going to be different. Oh my gosh, what are they going to be teaching the kids and stuff like that? So understandably, of course, like the parents were very against it, the priests were against it. It was very difficult.
I remember I had a person come up to me and say, why don't you teach them Amarinya and then like let them learn the faith? I said, I don't even know Amarinya. Like, you want me to teach them what?
Exactly.
It was a transition, but I think what made it like what made us like push forward for it more, even if there was like 7 or 8 of us. And I remember like when we started our Bible studies, there was like 10 of us. Yeah, it was the 7 committee members, and it was like 3 additional people.
That was literally it.
But those 3 or 4 people that were showing up, like they were all in, and they were like they were like, okay, now we have to continue pushing, And even though we had such different backgrounds, like I was coming from like growing up in the church kind of to going out to college and then, living out the college experience and then coming back to the church and still trying to figure out, like, I'm over here like learning about the Holy Trinity from the very beginning, like me having that background and then having people that were in the faith the whole time or that were just coming back at some point too, although our experiences and our background were very, very different, I think our overall goal was like, we have to bring the youth back. Like, I know we didn't have this provided to us growing up, but we have to be the ones to provide it to the ones to come in. And like, no matter how much we struggled, it was always that thought and process. Yeah. I know some conferences too, we were like about to get shut down, like literally seconds before the conference was about to start. But I think whenever we had our trials like that, at the end of it, we found the most fruit from it. It was like kids coming up saying like, this really changed my life. Like, I really needed to hear this sermon. And then you're just like, okay, all that struggle, all those late nights, all those like, our meetings, y'all.
Oh my God.
It was kind of my fault because I felt like I had to discuss I wanted to talk about everything. You called the boss lady, man. Yeah. We had like 7-hour meetings, like talking about
past midnight, y'all. Past midnight. Yeah. It pushed all the way through, like even like during Abiy's Omrasu, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like all the way, and then like we would stay at church, and then like there'll be church service early in the morning, so we would stay and do that. It was tough, but. All those. Yeah.
We made it through. We had some great memories too. We did. I can tell y'all every trip we went on with like OTYD.
Something happened. Something will happen.
We were known by like all the states as having the most car problems. Yeah. And it would be so crazy. And our bus drivers were crazy too. I think my favorite trip was.
Say the name. Say the name.
Our trip to Houston, okay? So our trip there was very, like, it was very smooth. Actually, whenever we first started, we had this guy, okay? Our bus driver. I'm not going to mention his name because, like, just in case he finally, like, magically finds us or something like that. Mr. C, we're going to call him Mr. C, okay?
Mr. C. I like that, okay.
So Mr. C, he's like this, I think he's in the army or he was in the military.
He's military,
yeah,
this guy
was like
ex-military spy or something.
Tough,
I don't know.
Yeah,
he was.
And we came in, he was just like I don't like noise. Like he came in very like, I don't like noise. I don't like screaming and stuff like that. I need y'all to sit down and behave, okay? And we're like, all right. Like we were just, it's like a bad start, you know? So we also have this one person in OTYD who enjoys screaming, okay?
We're not going to say the name.
Yeah, who enjoys screaming. And she didn't know that that was his role. She was kind of like, he told that to like half of us and then the other half joined in. We were all sitting down and midway through, we're talking about something and this girl screams. Like, loudly. And her scream's like high-pitched, okay? And when she screams, he like turns around. He says like, "What are you guys doing? I told y'all no screaming and stuff like that." He tells us this numerous times. So we were already like, we're already scared.
On his nerves.
So we get to Houston. We're like on eggshells. Like we're not gonna scream. We're gonna make sure all our kids are seated and stuff like that. By the way, there was like 55 of us. Okay, so we go there, and then on our way back, okay. Such a peaceful trip, okay? On our way back, we're literally, an hour and a half away from Dallas?
Exactly, yep.
The car stops, like, out of nowhere.
At night.
It was, like 10 or
something
11?
Around that time, yeah.
And it was like, he calls his mechanic and stuff, and they're telling him, yeah, you're going to have to wait for another car to come, like another bus. So it was like a 55-seater bus to come and then pick everyone up. And in the car, we had, like, a lot of like teens. They were like between the age of like 16 to 18. And, you know, like we love them. And they were there more for like the love and the connections and stuff like that. So the spiritual side was like something that we're just trying to work on. So they were just not feeling us. We're old. We've been singing mezmur like back and forth. They're like, we tired
all
of
the
y'all.
way there. Yeah, it was fun. That's what makes the trip so much fun, because we were singing mezmurs all the time. Like,
but they had like headphones, so they were just tired of us. So I think it was like the guys. I think it was Mahatam and you guys. You were like, we're gonna start a mezmur train, and you guys would go all the way to the end of it, and then we we're not leaving until y'all get up with us, and then get up. And then we would walk out and everyone would get in a little circle and sing mezmurs and stuff like that. It was really nice. And do you remember the advice Mr. Charles gave us? he was like, when I tell y'all this man was off, y'all, he was off. He was like, he was telling us about how he would he doesn't argue with his sisters, like if they just get upset.
Any women, he does not take any type of nothing.
He says, I just pick them up and body slam. We're like, body slam him?
Pick him up? Scoop him up. He said, scoop him up and body slam him. I said, whoa, what's going on? And then I remember this one kid, he was like, because I think his sister or something came on the bus with him, and now she was teasing him and everything. He's like, man, you gonna take that from her? And then we were just all dying. He's like, yeah, pick her up, body slam her, man. But
that we had really different,
funny. The trips, although like we were very much known, like you said, for being late to the majority of the conferences, it was those things that it was like the way that we, the community that we built, the connections that we built together on those trips. I know like people like that have told me like as soon as we got home from those trips and everything, that like I can't believe like this kind of community exists within Dallas, like where people that look like me, that sound like me, that are in my age group, that speak my language, are like coming together. You know what I mean? Hamanatachun, like learning about their faith and like. And it's such a beautiful thing, and people actually have turned from that. Like, and I know, like, there's some, people that weren't deacons when we started that are now deacons serving within the church, and it's like a testimony of God's, like love, mercy, and like grace working with us, especially within our organization, helping us and guiding us and bringing the youth back. Because at the end of the day, all these trips, all of these, conferences that we do, it wouldn't mean anything if we're not changing the lives of the youth. And, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, one of his main missions coming, here on earth was to save the lost souls. You know what I mean? So I think that's just one of those things, making sure that OTYD stands on the doctrine of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the canons and the traditions, and making sure that the youth are, growing up within the church and understanding their faith and learning about it and loving the church. St. Yared talks about, first you have to, learn about the church, and then you live with the church about it, and then you love the church. ስለዚህ like ቤተክርስቲያን አየኋት ኖርኳትና ወደድኳትና ለሚለው so it's like one of those beautiful things. And yeah, OTYD has been through a lot. We'll still continue to grow to this day. You know, I remember, like you said, we talked about it a lot of times. We were literally eight of us, and now we're like 20 plus servants. And plus on top of that, the more like we have members coming in and stuff like that. So, you know, we do a lot of things within OTYD. You know, we have Bible studies, we have divine liturgies, we have conferences here and there. So
I think we've also grown from like a place to where it's just like, of course, we're here for like the religious aspect, you know, like we're here to grow closer to our faith. But I think one of the things that we were also lacking whenever we were younger is to show like your religious side and your worldly side do not divide. And I think one of the things that we did is like as OTYDs, like, okay, we need to figure out how we can make sure that we let everyone know that practicing your Christianity is one thing, but Christianity like is also excellence. You know? So we talked about like we just hosted our first networking event where we talked about like just bringing in people from different majors and letting them know like these people are like practicing their faith, but they're also successful professionals, you know? We've broken the silence. I think we were the first ones to do our mental health conferences. We just finished our 5th mental health conference. We've done basketball tournaments, soccer tournaments. So like I think it's also
back to school events,
back to school barbecue, celebrating our grads. I think we went like we started off like, okay, we need to get these kids back in the church, you know, but then we were like, okay, but we're also a community. We also need to foster that side too. And I love so much how we grew into like, you know, like you can blend. You don't have to just be Orthodox in the church. Like you can take your Orthodoxy and apply it everywhere you go. And I'm glad that we're able to show that perspective too. So especially with the different topics that we cover that are taboo within our community and our faith. So it's been nice.
100%. I mean, that's why we bought you another medium. You know what I mean? A way to kind of this is another, you know, an extension of the resources that we're already providing you guys. You know, I know there's a lot of things that we can do and learn, but you know, it's not easy sometimes. You know, we get busy with our schedules, especially you know, people that work, you know, that go to school and everything. They don't have that time to sit down, maybe even go to church, and you know, maybe they might not even have like you know, an organization that provide English services at their own parishes. So this is just another medium for you guys, another resource for you guys when you're riding on your home, you know, instead of listening to Drake or Kanye, whoever it may be, you know what I mean, listening, you know, putting in the OTYD podcast and just, you know, listening, tuning into what we have to, you know, what we have to provide for you guys. You know, like Carmela said, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, different topics. So make sure you do follow us on our social media so we can get your feedback. There's certain topics that you want to, you know, talk about, or you want us to incorporate within the podcast, definitely, because we are going to be talking about some controversial ones. So please do tune in and you know, subscribe, and make sure, you know, to share it with your loved ones, your friends that you think, you know, might benefit from this. Do you have any last words?
I'm excited. I'm so excited just seeing the journey that we've made from the 7 of us to 10 people Bible studies to launching our first website to growing our Instagram to now launching our first episode of our podcast.
Y'all, come on.
This is big, okay?
Very
this is
big.
So big. I'm excited to talk about all these things that we weren't able to talk about growing up, you know, and just bringing the Orthodox perspective of it. It's just real talks, being honest, being like, you know, genuine talks, you know, not transparent. There you go. Transparent, visibility, all of that. So excited for everyone to join us. Can't wait to hear all your feedbacks.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to subscribe and wait for our next episode. All right. See y'all.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to OTYD, the podcast. Be sure to check out our website at otyd.org and follow our Instagram and Facebook accounts at OTY Dallas. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and keep an eye out for future episodes.